Would you like to discover the 5 feminine traits that men can't resist? Hi, I'm Antje Boyd, founder and creator of the Magnetize Your Man method. And look, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to click that bell right below that will notify you when that next video comes around that helps you to attract that right man for you. So let's go ahead and dive right in and learn more what men can't resist. Trait number 5 is be in your little girl energy. Hold on here. What the heck do you mean by that? So the little girl energy is a really playful energy, right? It's like she's really carefree, she's in the moment, and she's spontaneous. So there's not a lot of planning. There's just like grabbing somebody's hand, rolling down the hill, trying out a new restaurant, like being in the moment, like even going on a walk and maybe just stopping and admiring the fragrance of the flower. I know this is like, so cliche, but, or like maybe you see an animal coming by and you're like, once you're petting it or, just really like being in the moment. And just really like think about a little girl. So when you go to a playground, right, and you see little girls, they're like literally twirling, right? They're holding their dress and they're like twirling around and they just have so much fun. They're really embodied, right? Like little girls are really, really embodied. And that's like something that's really, really attractive to a man and that men can't resist. Trait number 4 is intuition. Yes, I know this can actually feel quite scary because it's something where you have to trust yourself, but that's why it is so magnetic. Men can't resist when a woman is trusting her intuition. Now, why is that? Well, for one, it actually creates a really mysterious sort of allure around her. Because when we follow our intuition, we oftentimes don't even know ourselves. We don't even know ourselves why we want to go to the right or why we want to go to the party or why we don't want to go to that restaurant, right? But we have this instinct, we have this sort of this nose inside of ourselves and also that feminine instinct as well that actually guides us in the right direction. And so when a man meets a woman who's like really connected to her instinct, right? Like he's really drawn to that because he's wondering like, how does she know that? What space is she coming from? What is the space that informs her about this intuition, right? So he's trying to access that space because it feels very clean and very pure. And like I said before, a little bit mysterious. It's not tangible. And so it can drive a man wild when a woman is really connected to her intuition, when she just really feels like, no, I need to go this way. Because think about it this way, when you are following your intuition, you actually have a lot of conviction, right? And so the man will be like respecting that, but also wondering like, where is she taking that conviction from? It's not a logical step. I can't intellectually actually comprehend that, but yet there's something about that, right? Like sometimes when men say, this woman, she just has something. There's just something about her, right? Like that's that intuition and leaning into the unknown and actually her knowing that she is the unknown to herself, right? And so of course, then she continues to maintain mysterious even to him because like there's more and more unknown to explore. And there's never like sort of like any assumptions, right? There's never anything that becomes sort of dry. There's always like kind of this feeling like, oh, we're a little bit on the edge. It's not quite 100% stable, right? And so the man actually want to kind of know the outcome, but they're never going to get there. But it's so highly attractive. Which leads me to trait number 3, right? Men can't resist a woman who holds her own. That's right, ladies. So if you don't agree with something that he shares, like you are actually expressing that, right? You're actually holding your own. So you're challenging him, right? So there's definitely time to collaborate, to be a team, to connect together, and of course have that mutual respect. But guess what? That mutual respect actually also comes from holding up your own boundaries. Now, in my King and Queen Matrix, we actually talk about the queen, because the queen is really that part that is the balance between the doormat being the one that gives all of her power away, has no boundaries whatsoever, right? But definitely is warm and approachable. And then you also have the bitch. And the bitch on the other side, it's completely edgy. She's all boundaries, but she is disassociated. She's not connected. So the queen is the marriage between the two, right? So that's what this woman has that men can't resist, is sort of this incredible warm, but yet very strong boundary that she's not going to sell out on. She's still going to be completely emotionally available, but she will not sell out on herself. She will not sell out on her values, and she will speak up early on in the relationship when something doesn't work for her, right? Like if she felt like there was something off at the dinner when she meets him, she will literally let him know right away and not wait 2 weeks. Trait number 2 is authenticity. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So authenticity is really true transparency. It's true self-transparency, and then also interpersonal transparency. Self-transparency meaning you are actually honest with yourself, right? You know if you went to the gym. You know if you actually agreed or you didn't agree with, you know what I mean, meeting at a certain time or coming halfway to him or whatever the case may be. And then interpersonal transparency, that is really all about really sharing with the other person, with the man, what's on your heart. So I'll give you an example. When my husband and I we were dating for about like 4 or 5 months, I just, I sometimes had sort of like this pet peeve where he left dishes in the sink, okay? And I know, I'm sure you're probably having a smile on your face right now because it probably relates to something you have experienced too. And so I was like, okay, well, I could just like guilt trip, I could just like manipulate him and just be like, I'm sick and tired of this, right? And I could just really, really pull sort of like this manipulative part, right, on him. But I wanted to be committed to being authentic and transparent in this relationship so I can create true intimacy. So what I did instead is I called myself out on it. So I actually walked up to him and I told him that I wanted to manipulate him. What? Is that real? Yes, absolutely. And look, what did it take was overcoming my internal dialogue that was saying, Antje, are you insane? Have you lost your mind? He's never going to trust you again. You're giving all your power away because now he's going to expect you to manipulate him. Now, first of all, this didn't happen because he actually couldn't resist that level of honesty and transparency. He became more attracted to me, right? Of course, he ended up proposing to me a couple months later, but also he opened up to me even more and was more transparent with himself and with me, right? And he was actually saying when something was coming up for him, like a shadow side of him, meaning like something that he was judging inside of himself, or that he may have been even be afraid that I may be judging as well. So that is incredibly irresistible. And finally, trait number 1 is charisma. Hold on. So what is charisma? Charisma is character and radiance. Now, but how's that actually expressed on an everyday basis? You have a massive emotional range. So women who have a lot of charisma can go from an extreme amount of sadness and even grief, and they can go all the way up to rage, fury, anger, And they can also go they can transition into the joy, the happiness, the ecstasy, the silliness, the goofiness. So they are really like this life force embodied, basically, right? And so that's extremely charismatic, because what happens is normally when we see a person, like we just expect them to be a certain way. So if they're not, they become extremely fascinating, right? And also it's extremely magnetic, because somewhere inside of ourselves, we actually know inside of ourselves that we all have that emotional range, and that sometimes even when you express it at a level 10, if you express anger at a level 10, if you express grief at a level 10, if you express happiness, literally outrageously at a level 10, and I did that with my husband, right? Like, it's going to be so attractive, and the man will be like, you're so silly, but yet he will not be able to resist it. So there you have it, the 5 feminine traits that men can't resist. So the question of the day is, of course, which of those 5 traits are you already embodying, or would you like to embody more? If you're struggling with that, I invite you to hop on over to magnetizeyourman.com and grab my quiz right there. Learn more about yourself, where you're stuck, what's happening, where's your internal dialogue, how are you talking to yourself, how's that serving you or not serving you, and potentially even having a call with me. So again, hop on over to magnetizeyourman.com or click that link right below. I hope this was helpful for you. Much love to you. I'm looking forward to seeing all your comments below the video, and also if you like this video, share it with your girlfriends. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.